Ghouls. This is another episode of... Oh, geez, I guess you probably shouldn't be able to see the table underneath all of that, huh? Oh, geez. Oh, I'm gonna break everything on film. It's gonna be awesome. Reposition. Okay. Welcome back, boils and ghouls. This is another episode of the mailbag. I've got some incredible stuff to share with you guys this week, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. This is the first thing we're going to check out. We're only looking at this peripherally because this is getting an indie spotlight of its own. Might actually premiere before this video does. I'm not sure. Now, this is called Outstanding Achievement Presents. It is by a guy named James Windsor Smith. And James is a buddy of mine, as you can see. Wonderful little inscription down there. But he had, I believe, 2 strokes. He lost the use of basically one of his arms. He was a prolific artist. He'd always loved comics. He'd wanted to do comics. I think he had even done some independent stuff. And rather than toss in the towel or anything, he taught himself how to draw digitally. This is his first foray into publishing. This is the first issue. It's got some really, really inventive layouts. I love a lot of the design, the character designs that he has got in here. There's something really, really cool going on. It does hop around quite a bit in style, which I think is really interesting as well. Like, you've got wonderful stuff like this juxtaposed against, very surrealistic images juxtaposed against very realistic frogs. And I don't really want to get too much into the story. If you guys are interested, you should check it out. The really cool thing about Outstanding Achievement is that not only is this James's first foray into publishing and stuff, but he's also using it as a platform to promote other artists as well. I mean, look at that. That is just an iconic image. I still, like, James does a very limited amount of physical artwork that I know of. And I think I might have to get him to do me a max at some point. Because he did some work for a really amazing publication that we're going to take a look at next. Actually, I love this character. There's just something crazy about the Mickey Mouse slumlord. I love it. But at the end of each issue, he is going to use at least, I believe, 4 pages right around there to promote other people that he knows that make comics and give them exposure. This is about Jeff Manley, the guy who does Riley the Teenage Bigfoot. I had heard of Riley, but I didn't really know who Riley was. And James was kind enough to send along Riley a Teenage Bigfoot, the first collection. This is some hilarious stuff, guys. I don't normally do comedy books. You guys probably have noticed I don't talk about them a lot. It's not because I don't like them. It's just because I don't find a lot of them funny. This was funny. Oh my God, Riley was funny. And the thing about Riley is, though, is that they're fairly sequential. Like, they do tell an ongoing story to a certain extent. There's callbacks, but this is obviously a strip. Which I did find appealing. I liked that about this. It was cool. It was self-contained. It was little gags. I think Jeff Manley's probably developed a very, very effective way of delivering punchlines and telling a story. Having to strip stuff down like this is not easy. And I loved his girlfriend, Becky. She's a tree. He like humps trees and stuff. So yeah. There are varying levels of like adult versions of Riley, but as far as I know, they were strips. This is 4-page sequential introduction to the character. It's the more adult version of the character. It's the version, obviously, I think probably I and most of us prefer. Really cool stuff. Like I said, I don't want to linger on this an absolute too long time because we are going to do an indie spotlight on it. This cover also, I should mention, is by the incomparable Sam J. Royale, who you guys might remember from Dishoom. I know he is working on Dishoom. Sam just sent me an absolutely amazing Max piece, and I am going to show that off to you guys at a future date. But I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Sam again and again for sending it to me. He refused to let me pay him or commission anything from him. He just sent it to me because he is a incredibly kind and generous person, as well as extremely talented. This is the second book we're going to take a look at, Darkest Image. Mark Darden is the guy that I know that spearheaded a lot of what we're going to see inside of this publication. As far as I know, there's a ton of people inside of this. There's just absolutely no way that I can do any real justice to this without doing an indie spotlight just on this book. So guess what, guys? We're going to do an indie spotlight just on Darkest Image, but I didn't want to pop this thing open. I wanted to thank Mark Darden. He reached out. He became involved with the William Mesner Loeb's benefit. All of the money from this book is going directly to helping William Mesner Loeb's. As far as I know, I believe they raised around $1,000 for him during the preliminary sales. It was absolutely incredible. I cannot thank Mark and everyone else involved in this project enough for caring and getting involved and donating that amount of money. It is absolutely incredible. It's awesome to know that I am in a small part. I am a small part of that, you know. Just bringing awareness and talking about it. You guys have done so much of a better job and been more organized than I have. And the least I thought I could do was show this off. All of the money does go to William Mesner Loeb's, but he has a series, I believe, called Guano Guy. And you guys should check out his releases. You guys should pick some stuff up. Mark is an incredibly sweet, kind, generous person, and I cannot thank him enough. Not to mention, if you have not noticed as I'm flipping through this, there is some absolutely bonkers art. Not bonkers in a bad way. I mean, like, this is the epitome of what I want to see in independent stuff. You've got really raw stuff. You've got some of this. I love the way that they're approximating duotone on the sepia page, by the way. But some of these galleries and pinups are just absolutely, that could be a variant cover, in my opinion. Same with that, all freaking day. I love some of these illustrations so much. I mean, look at this, dude. Look at that piece. Look at that. Tell me that would not be like a monster variant cover right there. And you could sell the shit out of that thing. It's gorgeous. Look at these pieces. Look at this stuff, man. I mean, there is some jaw-dropping work in here. This is one of my favorite pieces. I also really like this Tom Morris piece. And there was another guy that I did want to shout out. It was Bing Kung. I've seen a million people interpret this image, but I really appreciate I don't know, there's something very striking about that image for me. I also really like this piece, although unfortunately I can't remember his name, and it's kind of hard to read on here. What's really dope is this has got an incredible contents and credits page. Thank you for doing this right. You can check out everything by page numbers, who did it. It's got credits. It's freaking so well done. Oh, it's so nice. I thought that was another really nice piece. I don't know. There's some fun stuff in here. James Edward Clark doing Scud the Disposable Assassin. Yes, that does probably mean that that image probably cost me $50 because I'm probably going to have to pay James just to do Scud instead of just Drywall. And I love how Drywall is fighting Pouch, by the way. The Pouch, Rob Liefeld's creation. And then this is a Bing Kung actual like comic book. I follow his stuff on Instagram. Really incredible stuff. All of this is done by hand. It's all like spray painted on. through using screens and stuff. It's get on it. I believe his handle is Bing Fuchsius or something like that. But he is absolutely gobstopping. This dude is, you need to check this stuff out, man. It's super duper sweet. Uh, Team 7, nice Team 7 pinup. I mean, look at that. That's just a great piece. There's some really striking images in here. And also, I have to say, there is a really nice representation of my man, the Max, in here. First Darkest Image was a little bit light on Max. This is got a good section of stuff devoted to the Max, which is why I think it's so cool that the money is going directly to Bill, you know, to help him out. Uh, just some great, cool, fun stuff, in my opinion. So you have like stories, plenty of pinups. We're getting ready to get into some stuff by a man, I believe his name's John Troutman. And he donated some pieces for the William Mesner Loeb's benefit sale. And after we check out his story here, I will show you guys the pieces. Actually, they're so big, I will probably just insert images of them, hopefully using digital magic. Later, it is awe-inspiring work. This is, without a doubt, the best fan-made Max story that I think has ever been drawn, you know, visual wise, like really comprehending the character, having a ton of fun. It tells the story of him dipping his hands in the lava to gain his claws. And then you get some preliminary pieces and some pieces that he's done. John had a piece published, I believe this is the one, no, this is the one that was originally published on the back of Max 15. This is another one he did like right around that same time. I mean, look at this work. This is absolutely incredible, jaw-dropping work, right? Well, this is one of my favorite images, and I really like this one too, but these two images are my absolute favorite, and John incredibly generously, I don't even know how to thank him, actually went and watercolored this 20 years later and donated it. It is an 18 by 24 piece. I can't wait to share it with you guys. He also donated a fully painted version of this, and they will be available soon for auction to benefit William Mesner Loeb's. It's incredible. I just wanted to shout him out and say thank you on the channel. This is another one by him. He does traditional and digital imagery, and this is really interesting. I just love when people play with him being a rabbit. Really bizarre, off the wall story about like kids and ises. There's, as you can see, like super rough, but every page of this is a love letter to Image Comics. And I mean, look at some of the pinups, especially, man. I really honestly, like, this thing is worth picking up just for having these pinups in print, because you're never going to see these again, and you're not allowed to sell these because they're fan-made projects. This is all, you know, the money's all getting donated. Super freaking cool. I did get a hold of a couple of copies of this for the William Mesner Loeb's benefit sale, so everybody will get a crack at one of these. There's a bunch of, like, Max just pops up in a bunch of stories, which I really appreciated. And there's some really, 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 really cool stuff. Yeah. Recognize that? I was super happy to see him represented in here doing a Max story. And the imagery to this Max story is absolutely beautiful. It really is. It's just jaw-dropping. The way that it's assembled, the guy that he worked with, I think he really nailed some of the more bizarre, strange aesthetics of I love Julie's face here, of the Max. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Again, just incredible pen-up work. Look at this piece. And this is by Schlepzig. Schlepzig and I are definitely getting together. He's going to send me some books. I cannot wait to get those things out in front of you guys. I'm getting Schlepzig to do me a Max piece Like looking at this, like Schlepsik's doing me a freaking Max piece. And I was agog. It's incredible. Um, oh, it's John. John Troutman is his name, and this is another painting that he did. This is the caliber of stuff that you got that he donated. It's was awe inspiring. I think probably the strongest outside of the Max stuff in here, or maybe just tied with the Max, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. There is some serious TMNT worship that's been going on not too long, and like Victor Alpe just blew my mind all month doing TMNT Tober. Dude, this book really has some incredible work. I could sit here and just flip through this all freaking night and talk about it, but I did want to get it out. I wanted to say thank you to Mark for getting involved with the benefit, for all that he has done. Yeah. Uh for all that he's done for Bill, and the kindness and generosity that he's shown to not only me but everybody in the community, and him putting together this collection. Talk about the, like, built for Jerk Comics, right? Jack Kirby, bam, and you got a nice He Max instead of the Max, mashup. This book was just so much fun. And yep, it's a story. It is a story. He-Max is just bonkers off the wall. There's I love the Straight Angel pinup too. Chris Misi actually, I say Chris, excuse me, Christian. I don't know if he goes by Chris. Christian, I believe, backs the channel. Super freaking nice guy. I've chatted with him a few times, just not knowing who he was, and then saw his art, and man, oh man, is he freaking talented. I'm getting to be a little bit more familiar with the scene, and like people putting stuff out and getting my feelers out there, and I'm hopefully going to get more and more of these guys onto the channel and share more of their work and get you guys more familiar with who they are and what they're doing. Because I mean, this is the caliber of stuff that's coming out of the fan community right now. This is why I resent when people call it fan art. It is not. This is not fan art. That is legitimately probably more original and better than like half of the Matina covers that are coming out on Spawn. And yes, I said that he steals a bunch of crap. Look at that. I mean, and that's Christian Misi again. Like, I love Christian stuff. There's some obviously like just some iconic Spawn imagery because he's so great. I really like this one. Spawn versus the TMNT. I realized, I don't know if I've seen that mashup before, and it seems like something you would see a lot of. You know what I mean? Like, just oh yeah, and here's more of Ben's stuff. I really just look at that. I mean, you can feel it. It's tactile. It's wonderful. I freaking am super impressed with his work. I absolutely love it. I wish I could afford to get a commission from him. I would love to get a Max or even an Uncle Jerk, especially from him. I think he would absolutely kill it. I love the homage to the Sideways comic, by the way, guys. Totally Sideways. I can't even tell you how amused I was by that. This is another one by Troutman right here. This is the guy who donated art. This is all black and white. I believe this is a piece that he had done previously in the past that he just kind of tightened down a little bit and reworked, and that found its way into Darkest Image 2. But just astounding work. I mean, like, the mastery of the Max's form that Troutman shows is truly astounding. Like, all of the movements and the poses and stuff are dynamic, and they tell a story. I really am just absolutely beyond impressed with Troutman's work. I cannot recommend picking this up enough just to get his two stories. Actually, they would be worth it. And then the TMNT pinups, especially on top of that, dude. It's all gravy from there. You know what I mean? It's all gravy from there. Look at this. This is a fan comic. That is gorgeous. That is a freaking cover, man. That is so beautiful. And I'm not even super huge into Spawn, I'm not gonna lie. But it was cool seeing Spawn meet up with the Max, cause like holy crap, yes, the Max shows up more and more and more throughout. This thing is so nice. They toss down a little bit. I really like it. And Max actually KOs Spawn. I was like, what? They had him kill Spawn? They did. They send him back to hell. And then it turns out he's like, oh man, I've been drinking too much. This book, absolutely bananas, bonkers. Check this stuff out. So, let's keep it moving. I'm sure this is getting way too long at this point. So, if you guys don't know, I was recently invited out to Mike Allred's house to participate in the upcoming Mike Allred documentary, which is going to be called Space Phase. His son Han is doing it. I've been hyping it on the channel for quite a while and was blown away when they got a hold of me and asked me to be part of the project. I went out there, was given an inordinate amount of books. We will be looking at some of those books in the future. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys, though, was if you are big Mike Allred fans in general, and specifically, obviously, Madman, I highly recommend checking out Mad Mania. This is a fanzine publication, but it is of the caliber that I aspire to write to. It's got an interview with Mike in here at the end of this issue. It has got some very interesting looks back at his earlier work, about the evolution of his work, about how Mike's career has gone, what he's done, why he's done it, and how he's done it, and who he's done it with. I'm just telling you, Mad Mania is very, very cool. I'm very lucky. As you can see, those are signed by Mike. These are the ones that he had actually at his house. That is how good these are. He has them at his house. He gives them out to people. So I do highly recommend, if you are a fan of Madman, go check this out. I did, in this small stack of books, have Madman Lunchtime Digest. Lunchtime Digest is one of the funnest Madman comics I have ever read. It has some of the best pinups. The art is absolutely, I mean, not that Mike's ever off, because Mike is almost always just, killing it. But this is like shorter stories. They're even more stylized. The art is incredible. I would love to see some of this. It's filled with great pinups as well. I would love to see some of this reprinted at a larger size. The only thing that's a little bit strange on this sometimes is the bleed over on the left side. Not enough to put me off. The really cool, what I really wanted to show you guys in here is this story. Well, we can look at a couple of the pinups. Dave Stevens, obviously. I really like the Andrew McLean piece. Bruce Timm. Nick Bradshaw. I mean, talk about bringing it. Holy crap. Wow. And Dan Clowes. Obviously, that's just a cool piece. There was an incredible amount of original art at Mike's place. It was insane. It was like being inside of a museum. I will say that much for sure. Now, in this story, the reason I really wanted to show this off, there are different versions of Madman. Like, Madman is drawn by different people from different universes. And the Jack Kirby and I believe that's the Frazetta right there. And Frazetta shows up. I saw the original that was kind of based on. And then there's a Jack Kirby piece. Dude, it was incredibly crazy to see how well Mike can do Jack Kirby. That's insane. But I do, if you guys are into Mike Allred, if you are following his stuff, I do recommend checking out Lunchtime Digest. This was some of the best, most bonkers off the wall art that I've seen from Mike in a long time, and he never fails to impress. Now, for our next thing up, we've got a returner to the channel, Mr. Tony McMillan. He's the cream of the crop. He ain't never gonna stop, brother. Oh no, you can't bring him down. He's too sweet to sour. He's the tower of power. When we talked last time, he told me he was going to send me copies of his books that I did not have, which was only Bounce House Bizarre. He did a reprint of Bounce House. Bounce House is an anthology done with, I think, like 3 other people. The cool thing is, though, Grape Shot is introduced in here, and I really like. In the last episode, I did say I thought that probably this would show off more of his traditional comic book pages and like how that stuff works, and it does. It's really cool. Bounce House Bazaar is like $6, so I definitely recommend checking it out. It's fun as crap, and the art is absolutely bonkers in this thing, man. Like, McMillan kills it. He's talking about expanding the yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that. He's talking about expanding the Grape Shot universe after he's done with Serious Creatures, which is going to be, I think, like about a year before he's done with Serious Creatures. And after reading Grape Shot, I would really love to see him kind of expand this into like either a limited series or maybe a graphic novel or something. It's really freaking cool stuff. The art in here is very obviously very Tony McMillan, but it does remind me a lot of the Friday the 13th stuff. It's a little bit more airy, a little bit more breezy, a little bit more open. Really, really freaking liked it. The jumps in art in here are pretty astounding. I mean, there's a pretty hefty variance of styles that are inside of here for a 3 issue. And this is definitely like straight up outlaw throwback right here. Then you got some ads for some Tony McMillan books, which, you guys shouldn't really need to see because you guys already own all of Tony's work, right? 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 And then at the end, you get a little short about McMillan experiencing Batman. I mean, the art in here is so gorgeous. I love the Dark Knight. And McMillan kills it every freaking time. I don't know if I have ever seen anything that just didn't impress the crap out of me as far as Tony McMillan. The one thing that I did criticize about Serious Creatures was, unfortunately, there was a little bit of gutter loss because it's pretty text heavy. And I did encourage everybody to, seek out the single issues because I thought that would probably solve a great deal of those issues, all pun intended. And unfortunately, I'm not in a monetary position to support people in the way that I would like to. I made a very facetious comment on one of Tony's posts about the subscription to the single issues of the second half of Serious Creatures and was sharing it. I was just being funny, and he actually just went ahead and signed me up. He's going to send me these single issues. So I wanted to show you guys that absolutely these are you need to be picking these up as single issues. You really do. They breathe a lot better. The layouts make quite a bit more sense as far as the like parodies and the inside rating systems and stuff go. The story, absolutely incredible. Serious Creatures, we did a good spotlight on Tony. So you guys know about Tony McMillan. You know about his work. You know how talented he is at this point. I'm going to say that I can tell that Tony is learning a lot as he's going on this series. There's some really inventive usage of panel and page layouts, and he's also he's developing his own visual and written lexicon. You can tell he is perfecting what he's doing. I cannot wait till this series is wrapped up and he unleashes himself on something brand new, He said he might work on expanding, doing a sequel to any of his other graphic novels, or maybe working on Grape Shot. I don't know. Tony seems like he's really going through a period of growth right now, so I would be very surprised if he doesn't just wander onto a character or have an idea that needs to come out following this, because this feels like the next evolutionary step in Tony's work. I think Serious Creatures was very much like the combination of things that he had learned from all of his books prior to that. And this, I also feel like, has drawn a lot from his anthology work, his stuff like the Friday the 13th bootleg comic, that kind of stuff. And it's beginning to take on a personality all of its own. I cannot wait to see what he does. That is not to undersell the Serious Creatures, because I'm so ecstatic that this is keeping going. One of the best series that I have read, and one of the best series I've ever read, actually, just period, right there, end of sentence. And Tony is one of the most incomparable talents that I've had the pleasure of being introduced to over the past maybe 10 or 20 years. I was a guy to see this when he sent my stuff as well. Tony went ahead and just threw in a wonderful Max sketch personalized for me. Tony, I cannot thank you enough for your absolutely insane generosity. For anybody wondering, I believe that subscriptions are still open for Serious Creatures. If not, you can still pick up the single issues directly from Tony of this, as well as Bounce House Bazaar and his other graphic novels, which we've discussed on the channel pretty in depth. And you can get those through his Etsy page. I can't recommend doing it enough, guys. Just be like Nike. Just do it, all right? And if you guys tuned in last episode, you saw that I got a couple of books from a guy named Scott Lost. And Scott sent me 2 series. And the one that really caught my eye was The Wanderers of Melisandre. I really enjoyed the art style in here. It's like quasi manga, but also very much American independent comic book. I really, really liked it. The screen tones are pretty well done. I just enjoyed the way this book looked. So this was the first one I checked out. I hadn't had a chance to check out any of the books that he sent in the last time, and I wanted to put them up. The Wanderers of Melisandre feels kind of like a story that I might have read before in some aspects, and yet in all the best ways. It's semi-familiar, but not boring. It feels intriguing. The only thing that sucks is the first 3 issues set everything up, and now I'm freaking dying to know what happens. So Scott, if you're watching this, when you guys get more issues of this out, you better send them out, because I need to know. I need to know what's happening, man. I gotta know how this series finishes. If you guys want to check out Wanderers of Melisandre, so basically, humans are on this planet. Planet is filled with creatures that are basically like highly evolved dinosaurs from Earth, but they're not. There are other species as well of other stuff. Giant insects, as you can see there. Some crazy crap goes down. These two have to kind of team up, and they're drawn into a much larger conflict having to do with the societal problems of basically everyone on this planet either trying to enslave or wipe out humans. It's very cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. This was a cool read. Wanderers of Melisandre is probably going to be getting its own indie spotlight episode, which is why I'm not copiously flipping through there and showing you guys a bunch of stuff. Steel Streets, this was straight throwback. This freaking reminds me of the outlaw stuff from when I was a kid, man. If you want a book that's going to take you back, straight back to 1987, I'm telling you, Steel Streets is your key. This book was crazy. Paper stock on this is really cool. I also really like I can feel a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles worship going on in this, and yet it's not like over the top. Like I don't ever at any point feel like he's aping Peter Laird or Kevin Eastman or anything. But you can tell looking at this, you're like, oh yeah. The paper I think was used in an effort to probably promote that more off-color duotone shade stuff that you saw back in the day. Does a pretty good freaking job at it. This is from Superhero Comic Books. Zuper sent me both issues of Steel Street, so we'll take a look. This is the second issue. The paper stock is a little bit thicker on this one, a little bit more perfect. Tell me that doesn't look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, that's just bleeding. And you can see on here, he does a much better job of approximating the duotone that you would have seen in those old TMNT comics. This is some fun stuff. It's also quite a bit thicker than the first issue, like as far as page count, and the story really starts kind of filling out a little bit. I don't want to get too much into the story. I don't like doing that because like you get into elevator pitches, but I do recommend, if you're interested in this art or outlaw comics in general, definitely check out Mandy's stuff. I don't believe that Steel Streets is the only thing they've done. Like Mandy's like super got some really cool stuff. I mean, really, I follow the Instagram page and stuff. So I am a sucker for fake ads, by the way. The fake action figure. So these are a couple of books from my buddy Jesse Snyder. He's been following the channel for quite a while. He was super cool. Hooked it up with a couple of super limited editions. 29 out of 50, man. Thank you, brother. It means a lot, dude. I appreciate it. And then if that's not enough, got this one, 28 out of 50. This one is an anthology book, and this has got 6. As you might infer from the title, has 6 short stories. They're not incredibly long, but they are incredibly cool. Green is, I think, my favorite in here. The work on this art is freaking amazing. Rest assured, I'm going to be looking up Jason Pearson's stuff. Some really cool stuff. I also enjoyed the Incredible Brute. This was pretty cool. Some Darwin Cook style, like really early on in his career. Some Darwin Cook meets like Bruce Timm, by the way of Alex Toth work in this piece. I super enjoyed it. Frozen is all painted, incredibly impressive. You know, it is hard to paint a comic, really hard. And then we got some like very it feels like J. Scott Campbell by the way of Disney stuff going on, which was really interesting to see in like a horror, basically, you know, like this horror anthology. Andrea Tame, I don't know much about anything about any of these people, but Jesse sent this book in. I'm gonna tell you, this is pretty freaking interesting, man. They're like little 2-3 page stories. I wouldn't mind seeing more books like this that were like 3-4 page stories, and then give me a nice thick anthology of this stuff. Man, it was a quick read, but it was a stupid fun read. Now, this is King of Kings. As far as I know, I believe this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. The name implies it's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. It might just be 4 issues for the arc, but I think it's going to be 4 issues. It incorporates different elements of like different mythologies. It has, as you might imagine, metal, heavy metal, being drawn into stuff. Really, this was so freaking crazy. This is huge battle to prove who's like the toughest god and the best rocker. Like, this book is crazy insane. There are some absolutely incredible gods of rock. Like, dude, that tell me that's not awesome. Way to go with the Motorhead reference, guys. Uh Super fun book. Super crazy. I'm gonna be getting a hold of Jesse and seeing if he's got anything else, what else he's got planned. Cause these are some like very different books, you know? This is all very well, it's not traditional, as you can see by the Kool-Aid man wearing a necklace, pouring Kool-Aid down people's throat to literally brainwash them, uh, with the crucifix. Like, this book is crazy. And it's not for the faint of heart, I guess. Maybe if you have like thin skin about that kind of stuff. This was crazy. I got to get a hold of Jesse and see, what's going on with this, where we're going with this. And I will share more about King of Kings when I know more. I'm also excited about 6 issues. I hope he does some more stuff like 6 issues, because really that was super fun. I wouldn't mind seeing some of the stories expanded from like 2 pages to like 4 pages, but and like double the page count. But other than that, really, I can't complain. Now we have got up on the docket a series called The Power. 4-issue limited series. Super cool to send me advanced Ashcan editions of issues 3 and 4, even though only issues 1 and 2 are out right now. So The Power is basically about a dude who shatters the walls of reality by drawing his own comic book. Like, he draws a comic and it's so vivid and he believes in it so much that, yeah, they open basically like a portal and he falls in and he sees reality for what it really is, which is just like infinite possibilities. And he starts to begin to be able to comprehend all of those possibilities. And this has got some crazy freaking imagery. It actually reminds me a lot of like Tom Scioli's work on the Jack Kirby biopiece that he did, but the geometric compositions and that kind of stuff, dude, that's Steve Ditko all day. I mean, this really has a very, very Ditko feel to it. It's psychedelic in the sense of like the imagery that you're seeing, but in the way that it's presented, it's totally obvious that this is not like a drug experience or anything like that. It is about true mind expansion at its basis, which is a really cool concept to toy with inside of a series. As far as I know, only the first 2 issues are out. But we see, a little bit more of exploration and like his world creation. There's just some really interesting imagery that's going on inside of here. I have to say, like, that the style, like the simplistic approach, threw me off a little bit at first, but I think it kind of belies the intelligence of the lines that underscore it. It reminds me a lot of Zot, so I can see a pretty heavy influence of Zot, trying to like reduce line forms and that kind of thing. Very Tothian in the simplicity of its layout. Just some great, but there's some really trippy stuff going on here, man. I mean, there's some like weird, hefty concepts being presented, and they're always visually represented very well. And that's not something that I see a lot of people be able to pull off. And what's really cool is that he sent along small previews, ash candidates of what he's got done. Only a few pages, but this is really cool. This is really cool. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, but the guy's name is Rick Lopez, by the way. Very, very cool, nice guy. Talked to him online a little bit. Cosmic Cat is the other thing that Rick has got going. This is a small black and white, kind of the same. It's almost the same size as Dishoom, but the style is very, very different than what you see inside of the story, the subject matter for that, for that matter, all pun intended. Again, is very, very different. I think there's some really, really fun stuff inside of the Cosmic Hack. I don't know if this is still in print. Um, Limited color piece. I love limited color printing. I really, really do. But the usage of black and white's really nice with this one. Yes, Doomdazed. So Doomsdazed is who you want to check out. Doomdazed is like seriously got some very interesting stuff going on. I don't even really know how to sum up the power other than saying that it really does kind of bend the laws of comics. And also, they sent me along a really sweet Cosmic Cat sticker. So thank you guys so much. Oh, and I forgot about the lest I forget the Barbarian Cat mini comic. And yes, this one is fully finished. It's just a tiny, tiny mini comic like we used to get back in the day, back in my day in the 80s. Um, Again, this is like a Cosmic Cat universe, I believe, and super different than the Power. It's interesting to see the subject variance between those two series because it is very dramatic, and just the way they're handled even is very different. I really enjoyed it. Now, last guys that had sent stuff in this time around is Afterburner Comics. Wow. Okay, guys. Let's just talk about Afterburner for a few seconds here. This is some incredible stuff. Unfortunately, I think some of the issues are out of print. I think 1 through 3 are totally out. I wish I had gotten in on this series starting with issue 1. This is a magazine sized black and white anthology series, and it's by a guy named Robert Stewart. Robert writes and draws these himself. I believe he's also the guy that runs Afterburner Comics. Afterburner, this stuff is nuts. $5 an issue. These things are full size. I mean, these dwarf regular comic books. The art in here, absolutely fan freaking tastic. I mean, look at how much bigger that is. It hardly fits in frame. So these are just, I mean, these things are phenomenal. The only thing is, yeah, these are, they're for adult readers. There's some nudity, violence, that kind of thing. The stories in here range pretty heavily. Some of them are more science fiction based. Some of them are more like noir, murder mystery type deals. There's fantasy. There's like, this series runs the game, but we're going to take a very, very quick look here because I am doing an indie spotlight series on this freaking thing. I'm going to have to censor some of this stuff out, like that page right there with a gigantic wang. But I mean, I'm telling you, like, this series snagged me so hard. Oh man, I gotta try to get a hold of Robert, make sure, like, hey, when you drop new issues, please send them to me so I can stick them on the channel and review them and share them with people because holy jeez, these things are freaking phenomenal. They're, as far as I know, they're fairly self-contained. And he did send me a really nice... It's interesting because for issue 5, they went with a different format. And then they switched back almost right away. This format reminds me a lot of the fanzines, like Charlton Bullseye and stuff that you would see back in the day. It does have a little bit better, like, page spread, but I do like the magazine style printing better. I think they definitely made the right choice going back to that. Uh, I mean, like, geez, look at that stuff. But I think probably they were trying to get the cost down a little bit much. This was $3 as opposed to the $6, and then they went right back to the $6 because, or the $5 because this is just a far superior product. To get, it's worth coughing up the extra couple of bucks to get these. Holy God. Uh, I mean, the art alone, right, is stellar. But the way that this series is presented as like an ongoing kind of also self-contained series is really interesting. I didn't feel like I'd missed a whole ton, but there's a lot of world building, a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, this is adult. It does have some nudity in it, obviously. It's got some violence in it, that kind of thing. But it's really well done. It's absolutely gorgeous to see. I think that Robert is incredibly talented. I can't wait to I talked to him and we're going to do an interview, for the Indie Spotlight and stuff. So I really can't wait to sit down and talk with Robert more in depth about Afterburner and kind of figure out what the whole deal is and how everything got going and where he's going from here. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is a book that did end up coming in with the Wally Wood stuff. It was sent in by Tom Nordley. This is called The Reaper of Love. It is a collection of Bernie Wrightson stuff that I was not aware of previously. This has got a ton of his earliest fanzine material all collected inside of it. There is some absolutely crazy stuff from Wrightson. There are single pages too, where I love that one where he just accidentally fries Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster, Uncle Bill's barrel. This is one of Wrightson's most famous short stories, and if you look at that opening illustration, holy cow. To know he was just doing fanzines and that kind of stuff at the time he was not even pro, it's pretty insane. It is pretty insane. This book was put out by Fantagraphics, and I don't know how I missed this when it originally came around, but I definitely did. This has got, I think, as far as I know, probably all of it, if not almost, of Wrightson's very hard to get, more expensive fanzine short stuff. You only get one of those an issue. You know what I mean? You got to track each one down for a story. This has got everything in one shebang. It really runs the gambit from super tight, really, really heavy rendering, really heavily rendered Wrightson to a more playful, open, naive, amateur Wrightson as well. There's just a great variance in style inside of this collection, in my opinion. There's a couple of really, really good ones. Feed It is another pretty famous, well, not, I say, very, but it's pretty famous, especially for a fanzine publication. And if you look at the illustrations, it's not hard to figure out why Bernie Wrightson was really making a name for himself right around this time period. I love The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. He really nails it on this one. It's got some great, great imagery to go along with the prose. But as you can see, it's very much not like what you would later associate with Bernie Wrightson. He's capable of a great deal of different variants. And, ooh, yeah. Limpstrel. Just some incredible face work. You can see like the Wrightson or the Frazetta influence very heavily going on at this point, becoming very more refined with the trees and that kind of thing. Some great, really nice self-portrait there. There's just some great stories in here, and I don't hear this collection talked about very often. I didn't even know this existed. And it does also, on top of having Stakeout is one of his most famous fanzine stories that he ever did, because it's basically, I think, got Uncle Creepy in it. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty obviously Uncle Creepy. And then bam, got him reading all of the, or got him doing all of the old EC like mascots. That's pretty cool. And you got some more, like, I think there's some stuff in here that he just wrote. I think this might be one of the ones that he just wrote. And Conjure Woman, oh man, like, look at the rendering on this freaking stuff. Absolutely next world stuff. Out on a Limb is my favorite one from this collection. It's an old EC story. This might as well have been published by Warren. And it's about a dude with extra arms who gets into a bar fight and just can't take it anymore, and he kills a dude. Then he wanders off into the woods to like kill himself, and he's found by a tribe of other freaks. King of the Mountain, really great piece. The art on King of the Mountain is pretty phenomenal. Actually reminds me a lot, the character reminds me a lot of Wolverine McAllister from Journey by William Messner Loebs. And ooh, the Task. God, look at that, man. Just look at that. Like, so unlike what you would come to associate with him, but it still is probably a crying shame that we never got rights in on like Tarzan or Conan or even John Carter or something. And then Ain't She Sweet is another Warren style publication. Some really, really cool art. You can see him like tightening stuff down, working on storytelling throughout this. Last Hunters is really prose heavy. It's like presented the old like pictofiction style, but it gives his art like more room to breathe, and it's really, really cool. I really like the story as well as the art. This is very pencil. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything else that he ever did in pencil. And it's to represent a child's dream. It's super cool. Nosferatu, it's a real short. This is pretty cool. This has got Wrightson, a collection of like Wrightson's old portfolio work from back in the day. I guess this is, like an example of what he was showing off to try to get jobs and doing for fans and sketches and stuff. This has got the cover to a bunch of the stuff that I know the Scream Door stuff was in here. Pretty sure the Abyss stuff was in here. This is just all the stuff he did covers for. I really, really like this piece. And yeah, I mean, it's even got, these are like the in like book, the intro pieces for different stuff he would do back then. So I really wanted to share that with you guys. Man, some really incredible books. I can't thank you guys enough for keeping this stuff going. If you're interested in sending in your book, make sure that you either use my email that is in the description, or you can message me directly on Facebook, on Instagram, hop on one of my Instagram live streams, one of my Twitch streams, whatever. Get a hold of me. I will get you details on how to get books into the channel. I promise that everything that people send in, which I can show on the channel, I will show off. I can't promise that I'll give deep dives on everything, but I do promise anything that anyone sends in, I will show off, guys. So thank you so much for sticking with me. I really appreciate all of the support. It's been incredible this year. I can't wait to see where the new year takes us.
If you did enjoy what you saw, make sure you hit that like button. Think about getting in the comment section below and letting me know. And if you really enjoyed what you saw, make sure you Hulk smash that subscribe button. If you do that, make sure you ding the little notification bell so you never miss another video or premiere again. If you feel like you're in a position to help the channel grow, think about using the link in the description below to sign up for my Patreon page. For as little as $3 a month, you get access to tons of behind the scenes posts, updates, exclusive content like uncut interviews, and you can even get your name in the credits. If you want to support the channel but Patreon is not your thing, have no fear. You can finally sign up for membership right here on YouTube. Just hit the little join button and make sure to select the tier and perks that fit you best. If that's not enough, you can also make one-time donations towards specific goals or just tip the channel using the Ko-Fi link in the description below. And you can even pick up your very own JerkComic shirts like the ones you see on the screen now. As always, this video was brought to you by the Jerk Broadcasting Service, as well as generous grants from the Patreon, Ko-Fi, and YouTube members you see on the screen now. I seriously want to thank every single one of you that supports the channel and helps make these videos possible. I really hope the quality and content is getting better, and I can't wait to see where the next year takes us with your continued support. Thank you again for helping this crazy dream of mine become a reality and for sticking with me. I hope you all enjoyed, maybe even learned something. And as always, I really, truly, and honestly ask only two things. Keep hitting those local shops and keep reading comics.